It's great to have you back on, Senator. It's good to see you. Your reaction to Edward Lawrence's report there?
Well, I think what we've seen is China step in, and as Senator Blackburn aptly said, they've even given evidence that they will backfill, they will do what they can to support Russia, their ally. I think things aren't working out well for Russia, certainly not as they had planned. And I hope that China observes this carefully, reconsiders the posture that they're taking, because we need to be strong. If you think about it, we're too dependent on China. We have allowed this to happen over the years. I've been arguing for years that we need to become less dependent on China. We need to reshore our companies. We need to get our operations back here in America.
Yeah.
We need to put China in a different position strategically.
But we've got supply chain chaos now coming out of China and Russia. The Federal Reserve, we don't know if they're going to raise rates even more than the quarter point they're talking about. But why is the president now talking about executive orders on climate change?
You know, he's run out of options here. He tried to pass this massive Build Back Better plan. The American public doesn't want it, jamming another $5 trillion worth of expenses on the backs of America. And on the climate issue, they have been wrong-footed from the very start of this administration. Joe Biden, on the first day, began a war on the oil and gas industry that, frankly, has precipitated much of the disaster that we're encountering right now. If you think about it, the price increase that he precipitated here in America when he stopped the Keystone XL pipeline, when he stopped drilling on American lands, when he cut off access to ANWR, that price increase here domestically has actually gone around the world. The biggest windfall has come to Vladimir Putin and Russia. So Biden has found himself funding the war machine from Russia against Ukraine at the same time we're trying to stop.
California's demand for electricity could nearly double in about 23 years. Yeah. California is phasing out gasoline cars. Buildings are going to be pushed off natural gas. It's stressed out power grid, already hit with rolling blackouts. The power grid is fueled by oil and gas. Two-thirds of electricity comes from that. So the state's grid, the pressure on the California grid could rise 90% as a flood of electric cars and more hits the road. You know, everything's good. Anything fossil fuel related, stoves, water heaters, going to get plowed out, going to be knocked out. This is a study given to California regulators by the consulting firm Energy and Environmental Economics. So why is the White House, the Energy Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, why are they touting electric cars but not talking about that part of the story? Again and again, they're misleading the American people about this.
It's massively misleading. It's so myopic. It's so short-sighted, Liz. I mean, it's almost like a religion, a theology to these people. They keep pushing toward these green solutions when they don't have the bridge to get there. The infrastructure is not in place to support this. The alternative fuel sources are not there. Yet they've decided to wage war on the oil and gas industry from day one in this administration, and they put America in a terrible bind.
Watch the president again blame Putin's price hike. Prices have consistently been rising since March of 2021 after they passed trillions of dollars in spending. Watch the president blame inflation that started last year on a war that began in February of this year. And watch a Democrat congresswoman say, Americans, if you're upset with President Biden and rising gas, you're an American. Watch this.
Make no mistake, the current spike in gas prices is largely the fault of Vladimir Putin. It has nothing to do with the American Rescue Plan.
Right now, in the last 2 weeks, this is Putin. You should be blaming Putin, if anybody, for this. And to not blame Putin, first of all, is denying reality. And second, frankly, I think is un-American.
Okay, let's show the key battleground states hit hardest by inflation. We're talking Florida now seeing it, Georgia, Arizona, the West Coast. So you're un-American if you complain about it and don't blame Putin.
Well, they're denying the numbers. They're denying the facts in all of this, Liz. Look at my home state of Tennessee. We actually drive to work. This is being felt by every American. And the top line numbers, the 7.9% inflation, which is the highest that we've seen in 40 years, I don't think that actually reflects the reality that most Americans feel right now. Certainly for those of us that drive, we are living with this, and the Biden administration's war on oil and gas started it. The way to fix this right now is for Joe Biden to come out and say tomorrow that we're going to reopen the Keystone XL pipeline, that we're going to start drilling again here in America. He'd rather deal with international killers than work with American drillers.
Interesting flip there. You know, here's this too, sir. Nancy Pelosi, the White House again, they cite the Nobel laureates saying spending doesn't increase inflation. I mean, that's a talking point, right? Those experts are talking about investments for long-term inflation. It depends on which type of government spending and which investments you make. You know, again and again, we hear them citing experts, you know, those pandemic experts signing a letter saying no lab escape, the dozens of intelligence community members who derided Hunter's laptop as classic Russian disinformation. So, you know, they can cite the experts, but when you look into really what's going on, you see that the truth comes out. The University of Michigan consumer sentiment, again, for the 5th time in the last 6 months, falling to an almost 11-year low. The American people know what's going on. They see it.
Well, Liz, thank you for being a voice to help the American people understand this, because the mainstream media are not. But the American public is too smart to fall for these ruses that the Biden administration is putting out. You're helping get the truth across, and I appreciate and applaud it.
Well, I'm flattered about that. I really don't like to talk about myself. But, you know, the other story that came across, I appreciate that, Senator. Thank you for that. Saudi Arabia. Did you see this story? Saudi Arabia is in active talks with China to price its oil sales to China in China's currency. That's a dent to the U.S. dollar's dominance. But, you know, there's no way that the U.S. drops out as the world's reserve currency. Do you see that happening anytime soon? But this is kind of rattling the cages, though, right? What Saudi Arabia is doing?
I think that's exactly what it is. It's cage rattling. China is making a lot of moves right now to try and shift the status quo. I don't think it's going to work. I think that they stepped up and they supported Vladimir Putin. It's something that they deeply regret at this point. Putin's arguments to China must have been that this will be over in 2 or 3 days. It's turned out to be a 20-day plus grind, and it's not working out the way China planned. NATO is now stronger, more united than ever before. We need to continue to push back on China. The world's looking at China hard.
Senator Hagerty, thank you. Thank you for your kind and generous words. It's good to have you on. It's good to spend time with you. We'll have you back on again soon.
Thank you, Liz.